Hello and welcome. My name is Eric Chelmer, and today we're going to be talking about the practice and origins of martial arts in the modern world. One of the misconceptions people have about the martial arts is that they're all about fighting or beating people up. And while combat is a part of the arts, that is not the only way they can be expressed. The martial arts are important cultural artifacts rated alongside traditional dance, song, and craft. They can be therapeutic and meditative if practiced slowly and with precision. So today let's go into a non-exhaustive list of the various martial arts practiced throughout the world, both how they're practiced today and where they came from. For the purpose of this discussion, we're going to break them down into three broad categories. First, we have grappling arts, which are any art that is focused on joint locks, throws, or submission holds. Then we have striking arts, which are focused on using the hands, feet, or other body parts to strike at the opponent. Finally, we have armed martial arts, which involves using weapons such as swords, stabs, or bows against your opponent. Now, it's important to note before we begin that very few of these arts would fit neatly into one of those categories. For example, many striking arts do have elements of grappling within them, but I'm going to list them the way they are listed based on what the majority of their techniques use. So, let's start with the oldest branch, grappling. Most people in America would be familiar with wrestling. Most high schools or colleges would have a wrestling program. What most people don't know, though, is that wrestling originated in ancient Greece and Rome. The Pankration focused both on wrestling and boxing as a sport in which two opponents would face each other in a ring as part of the Olympics and fight until the other submitted. Similar to wrestling in execution would be Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, which was the techniques of the samurai involving throws and joint locks that was used for self-defense and fighting in armor. Similar to Jiu-Jitsu would be the practice of Judo, which focuses on the throws. In Judo, two opponents will try to throw each other to the ground to score points. Wrestling techniques can be found in various folk traditions throughout the world. In India, the art of Kalaripayattu is the oldest martial art in the world. And in Polynesia, especially in Hawaii, art such as Kapu Kailau are still practiced even centuries after they were created. Next, let's discuss the striking arts. The most famous striking art for us would be boxing. Now, collegiate boxing has a tradition going back in Europe and the United States for a couple centuries, but before then, it too took its origin from Greece and Rome. It was done as a gladiatorial sport, or again, part of the Olympics. The goal of boxing is to strike the opponent and score points that way, or to knock them out and achieve instant victory through that method. Now, very famously, in the last century, are the various striking arts that come out of Asia. For example, we have Japanese and Okinawan karate, we have Thailand's Muay Thai, China's various forms of Kung Fu, and Korea's Taekwondo. All of these are pretty similar in execution and in practice, with minor technical differences. They are practiced both through partner sparring, in which the opponents will fight with their hands and feet to score points, or through predefined forms, where a single person will go through the various motions involved in the art. These were popularized in the 1950s by actors such as Bruce Lee and Fumio Demura, whose movies skyrocketed the popularity of these old arts. Karate especially has risen to become the most popular traditional martial art in the world, and the second most popular martial art overall, right behind modern UFC-style mixed martial arts. Finally, let's talk about armed martial arts. Now, historically, these might have been the most popular because fighting with weapons was the way of the warrior in the past. But nowadays, these are probably the least popular of the three, though they are experiencing a revival in popularity in recent years. Most famously, Olympic fencing is based on the swordsmanship used by Victorian and Georgian era Europeans. And the saber especially has been a staple of the Olympics since its inception. Similar in spirit to Olympic fencing is Japan's kendo, in which two opponents will use bamboo swords to emulate a sword fight, striking at the hands, the head, and the torso to gain points. Related to kendo are the practices of kenjutsu and iaido. In kenjutsu, predefined situations of combat will be done by multiple partners to emulate real swordsmanship. And sometimes sharp swords are used to cut stationary targets. And in iaido, the focus becomes meditative, using the drawing, handling, and sheathing of the sword to achieve peace. Swordsmanship has also been explored in the newly founded art of historical European martial arts, or HEMA. Practitioners of HEMA explore the period sources and writings of various fencing masters from Renaissance and medieval Europe to recreate their techniques and to spar in a very competitive environment. Armed combat offers a lot of benefits because it can be experienced either in a very intensive fashion and be a real challenge to the body and mind, and also to be done in a slower and more meditative, low-impact variety, such as with iaido. So with all these examples, we can really see that there are many ways to experience the martial arts nowadays. In our world, they can be a grueling challenge of the body and the spirit where you pit yourself against an opponent, or they can be a peaceful and contemplative action where you explore the capabilities of your body by going through the forms and finding a peaceful kind of motion, almost like a dance. They have been likened together very often. I myself have found great satisfaction practicing the martial arts, and I would encourage all of you to explore your area and find a new way to express yourself. Thank you.